We sat beneath the ancient tree's shade, with tangled hearts and plans we made. She said she'd keep my soul in her care, an understanding we'll forever share.
I often wondered why my brother ventured up to the elbow on the day of our 38th birthday. I knew, however, that even if I asked, he would never quite answer the question. Just as I had when we were boys and he broke his leg, I felt certain my own actions had somehow brought about this latest injury. The hardest thing I had to face from that day onward was the sight of my brother confined to a wheelchair. As sovereign, I had few obligations. Why did deity ask Xavier to make the sacrifice I would willingly have made? In writing this question to myself, I find the answer as well. Had I fallen, he could not have helped me as I helped him. Maximiliano Zakarian, Capitulo 86.
As Georgiana sat before the vanity mirror, her single arm resting in her lap, Bethany gently brushed her silver blonde hair. They had grown inseparable ever since the flight to Estolia. Since the tower suite had become Bethany's home, she invited Georgiana to move in, giving her the downstairs room for ease. Yet the two spent nearly all their time together. Brushing Georgiana's hair had become a shared comfort while they recuperated, Bethany savoring the quiet intimacy of each gentle stroke. She ran her fingertips through the fine silver-blonde strands and, after a pause, glanced up at the mirror. Her gaze met Georgiana's single watchful eye, and a blush warmed her cheeks.
My mother was like that too,
Georgiana said, flashing Bethany a single dimple in a mischievous grin. But as she caught sight of herself in the mirror, the humor vanished as abruptly as a snuffed candle.
I've been told my hair is my best feature, even if...
She gestured vaguely to her face, where the wounds along her jaw and temple remained raw and red. The blast had destroyed her eye socket. Instead of a glass eye, the doctors had fitted her with a black patch, stark against her pale skin. Beneath the lower edge of her eye patch, the skin along her upper cheek and jaw was still mending. For the first weeks, the wound had left the repaired bone exposed, a stark reminder, with every glance in the mirror, of all she had lost. Now, after diligent daily care, the flesh had closed at last. Her doctor said she was fortunate, healing as swiftly as she did. In another month or two, the wounds on her face would finish healing. Within a few years, even the redness of the scars would fade. The near-total severing of her ear left that side of her face lopsided and unbalanced. The wonder was that she didn't have any hearing loss at all. She was also extremely lucky her scalp had been spared. Her hair was growing back beautifully, and the asymmetry of lengths looked deliberate. After an awkward silence, Georgiana said,
It takes some getting used to.
She raised her right hand, fingertips brushing lightly over the edge of the eye patch and the scars beneath. Her gaze drifted from her reflection, unfocused, a small crease deepening between her brows.
I'm lucky to be alive,
she said, her voice trailing away in a whisper. Bethany hesitated, wanting to offer comfort but uncertain how. She rested a hand lightly on Georgiana's shoulder, wishing there was something she could say to ease her friend's quiet sorrow. Taking a steadying breath, Georgiana managed another smile, as if determined to set aside what she couldn't undo.
What's happening today?
She asked. Bethany caught the forced brightness in Georgiana's voice and followed her friend's lead.
Today,
she said,
we'll be fitted for dresses for the celebrations in 3 days. Candace has a new design she's been dying to make for us.
What celebrations?
Bethany set aside the brush and gently turned Georgiana's chair to face her. She perched on the edge of the bed.
Theo and Gregory are both turning 30,
she said. Georgiana was quiet for a few moments, considering. Then she asked,
Why does everyone speak in that special tone when they mention 30th birthdays?
Bethany started to answer, then stopped as a realization struck.
Oh, wow,
she breathed, her words fading into the quiet between them.
What is it?
Georgiana asked, the brow over her undamaged eye arching dramatically. Bethany felt a flush rise to her cheeks as the thought sank in. Finally, she managed,
Here in Estolia, men are expected to marry when they turn 30.
Georgiana's features softened, a hint of longing crossing her face.
It must be nice having your future settled.
She said quietly. Bethany frowned, surprise sharpening her voice.
What do you mean?
She couldn't see anything settled about her life. Georgiana looked genuinely puzzled.
If your Gregory is turning 30, then he must be preparing to marry you.
The riot of color on Bethany's cheeks doubled in intensity. Georgiana rose and turned to face her fully, voice gentle.
Your Gregory is in love with you. It's been clear since I first saw you together. As clear as your love for him.
Hope pierced through Bethany, impossible to contain. Only now did it dawn on her that Gregory's reserve might simply be the result of waiting for his 30th year, waiting, perhaps, to marry her. Somehow, she'd never connected his restraint to his faith. She'd always assumed, rather painfully, that he simply didn't care enough. Georgiana sighed, her fingers unconsciously tracing the scarred skin at her cheekbone.
I envy you, Bethany. No man would be interested in this.
Bethany shook her head, a small frown creasing her brow.
You're wrong about that, Georgiana. I think you underestimate how lovely you are. If anything, I'd wager Theo is as interested in you as you say Gregory is in me.
Georgiana said nothing. She turned back to the mirror, staring at her reflection for a long moment, her hand drifting again to the uneven skin along her jaw.
Smiled and spoke of stars so near, a life eternal without any fear. In her...
That evening, after dinner, Catherine, Gregory's mother, sat at the piano playing soft, restful music. For a while, gentle notes filled the room. Eventually, Leo invited his elegant wife to join him, and they began to sway across the floor. Bethany's heart fluttered when Gregory asked her to dance. She smiled to see Theo, with all his formal reserve, offering his hand to Georgiana as well. Bethany rested her cheek against Gregory's chest as they moved together. When his hand traced down her back, it felt as though he were brushing the very substance of her soul.
Bethany?
Gregory said softly, his lips close to her ear.
I am sorry I have been so distant.
I did wonder if you regretted the time you spent with me before I traveled to California.
The way he looked at her sent a ripple through her skin. His gaze held something she could not quite name.
Bethany, I could never regret our friendship.
He bent to kiss her, slow and certain.
You are the ray of sunshine that brightens my world. You have been since the day I met you.
One of her hands rested lightly on his chest, feeling the strong thrum of his heart beneath her fingers.
What are you saying, Gregory?
She whispered. She no longer wished to guess at the truth. His eyes locked on hers, and for a long moment they kept swirling to the music, silent in their own world. When the melody ended, Gregory gently led her to a quiet alcove at the edge of the room. Once she was seated, he took the chair opposite, close enough that their knees nearly touched.
Bethany, what I am saying is that I do not wish to remain apart from you. I love you. I want you to be with me from now until the end of time. There is nothing I desire more in this life than to be with you always.
You mean it, Gregory?
Oh yes, I mean every word, Bethany. But I need to know. Are you willing to take me on? Will you be by my side from now until the end of our lives?
Her heart felt full to bursting. She remembered too clearly her father's withering remarks, the many times he'd compared her, always unfavorably, to the wife he'd lost.
Children never mattered to me,
he used to say, as if she herself were an afterthought. All she wanted now was for Gregory to need her, not just as she was, but for the family they might build together.
Bethany, I can think of no greater perfection than having you joined to me forever. To imagine our child growing within you, there's no blessing greater than that. Say you will be mine. Tell me you wish for me to be yours.
That was all she needed. She rose to her feet, and in a moment he was holding her close, his arms winding around her waist, kissing the tears and laughter from her face. After a while, a gruff voice broke into their quiet world. Xavier had wheeled himself over without a sound, appearing beside their secluded alcove.
I think it's time the three of us had a chat,
he said, eyes flicking from Gregory to Bethany and back. They made their way to one of the breakfast rooms. After Bethany settled into a chair, Gregory sat beside her. She turned and smiled at him, her thoughts lingering on how kind he was, the ease in his presence, how fine a husband he would make.
Am I right in assuming you two have just decided to tie your lives together?
Xavier asked, one eyebrow quirking up, his tone a blend of dry humor and something harder to name. Gregory nodded, never once taking his eyes off her. Xavier cleared his throat.
Bethany, you have lived among us in Estolia for some time now. Yet even after all this, I would never presume you know every Estolian custom. Marriage here is not entered into lightly. It is a binding vow. There is no divorce, no separation. If you agree to marry Gregory, you are choosing to stay by his side for the rest of your life.
She felt as if her dreams were being served to her.
I remember what happened when Melanie got married.
Indeed, it will be much the same,
Xavier replied.
Marriage in Estolia follows a handful of sanctioned paths. The process is far more ceremonial if either party is born to the king or keeper. In Gregory's case, as he was meant to be keeper, ordinarily you would expect even greater spectacle, a wedding more elaborate than most. However, since his abdication, matters are different. I have considered his unique situation carefully. I am compelled to share with you both. Your bond is already sanctified by the Spirit, provided you wait until after the 11th hour on the eve of your birthday, Gregory, to consummate your union. Materially, this means that in just over 48 hours, if you both desire it, you will be brought to the secondary seclusion suite and will spend 7 days in seclusion. When you emerge, we will hold another celebration and declare you married not only for this life, but in the life beyond, until time itself ceases together in Torrizon.
He grew solemn as he said this, looking from Bethany to Gregory and back again.
Are you both able to wait that long?
Yes, Uncle, we can. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Have a care that you are never alone together until the time I have already specified.
You keep my soul within a warm embrace, my Kaylee, my soul's safe resting place. Together we'll weave through night and morn, in a tapestry where dreams are born.